they've nuked air career farming. You can no longer cycle through multiple versions of a character and just biomass, 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 and get crank out the air career points for your account level because they've now made it character level. It no longer goes to your redeeming queue. It goes. It's just like uh, opportunities. Yeah, it's just like opportunities now. So rip that great little experiment for alphas. I never used it myself because A, it was just too much grind, and I didn't have any free character slots on my Omegas. They were all full up, so never took advantage of that really. Yeah, that was an interesting little feature they had for a while, but it is now gone. Yeah, I'll read you the text. Migrating rewards from the redeem queue to being character bound. Uh, Item rewards will be delivered to ship cargo, home station, or to the current station the character is currently in. It's just like the drugs it's just like the login rewards, right? It'll go directly into your character, right? Skill point NIS rewards will be automatically redeemed to the character's account, of course. So, yeah. Character bound. Wild. Um, have there be, there has been a ton of stuff they did, especially last week or a couple of weeks ago. There was a massive bunch of changes that I really need to plow through for you guys because we might not be aware of them otherwise. Let's see now. On the 25th, I don't think there was anything. Oh, well, that's a welcome change. I'm sure the Upwell owners will sigh a breath of relief to not being fooled anymore, like we ever were. Uh, Quote, when changing the reinforcement time of an Upwell structure or flex structure, the mail sent will now correctly state that it takes 30 days instead of 7 days to change the RF time. Yeah, that's been like that for years. Um, okay, moving on. Um, uh, just a cosmetic fix, but probably welcome for filament users. Added a warning for someone attempting to open a filament while a fleet member is coming out of warp or in warp invulnerability, which, aka, you land and you ever tried to command burst somebody when you've just come out of warp and nobody takes the burst, especially for miners, right? You just first land in the belt, you hit that burst, nobody gets the boost because they just came out of warp, and it's like this. Nobody can target them, right? For a little bit when you warp in on a grid and you just land, nobody can target you for a little bit because you've just come out of warp. Um, that's why I love that ability to use the regroup, so I could regroup my guys. And that invulnerability state they're in before they were regrouped and orbiting around me and were taken off around the target. Nobody could target my guys when we first land. So, yeah, it's a nice little warning. That's kind of cool. I don't know how I don't understand how they detected that, right? Like, you're trying to open a filament. How is the system detecting that somebody's coming out of warp or is in warp invulnerability? Wouldn't, like, if you're going to light off, well, I'm sure activating a module, you wouldn't be able to get the same kind of warning as a filament because a filament has a little bit of red tape involved, whereas activating a burst command is a module, and you probably wouldn't be able to prevent somebody or open up. There wouldn't be, like, you click on it, there wouldn't be a, are you sure about this? Like, well, they have the, the what's it called, the safety button, green, yellow, and red. Um, Criminal. I forget the actual name of it. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, sort of like that. But yeah, interesting. I wonder if they could do that warning for other modes, right? Where in your like the command burst thing, but that would probably be something a different mechanic they'd have to fiddle with. But yeah, sorry, I'm speculating, of course. Anyway, so that's there. Yeah, there's the sensor boosters and the low slot sensor amplifiers, signal amplifiers. They've got different icons now. It's kind of cool. Kind of, they actually look very comical. But whatever, right? um, let's see. On the 21st of March, they added 7 new billboard ads. Is it? I think I did one recently. I don't need to do one yet of Jita billboard rotations. I'll do that at some point. Technical blather. The 19th of March. Drifter Crisis. Fleets larger than 2 times the site's optimal size will no longer receive payouts or complete challenges. That's interesting. I wonder if that will eventually migrate to stuff like the Pirate Stronghold stuff. Seeing 30, 40 pilots on grid, right? That'd be interesting. Yeah, for example, if a Lancer counter-offensive fleet is larger than 10 people, no rewards will be given. Interesting. Um, uh, the Rift Flow stuff. I don't know if it's an event thing or if it's permanent now, but there's been a few buffs to the reward stuff, like the increase the closing timer with the deep flow rifts by 3 minutes. Not much time actually. Added a bonus payment when players retrieve all possible canisters within a deep flow rift site. I no thanks for tractoring stuff. I don't do those. Yeah, people just don't do them in my zone of space. Sovereignty anomalies. Sorry, I'm not nullsec. I wouldn't even know if something is good or not. So sorry about that. Let's see, 18th of March. Blah blah, we're the greatest. Blah blah blah. Yeah, whatever. Um, so I love mining, but this is just confusing. I have I have used regular crystals in deep core mining uh, um, that you can add a crystal to. You can actually do it even with the frigate size ones. I used to think it was a cool feature, exploit feature, that was really neat that most people didn't know about. But you're using a frigate, and those crystals are gonna, like, the cycle time is so quick, so the crystals are gonna get used up. You have to use crystals, which I hate using crystals. I haven't used crystals in years. I just used Strip 1 mine, especially after they came out with the waste stuff. I just used Tech 1 my strip miners, and I didn't bloody well care. Um, um, yeah, user interface. There's a new broadcast icon for a repair target, so the FC can uh, click on uh, somebody in the overview, and then broadcast for repair target. And yeah, I don't know why they did that. But okay. um, they you could have a dedicated person looking for people being shot at, I guess. Never mind. Anyway, so yeah, that's the new broadcast icon. Um, I wish they. I won't go into tangents about. I've already. It's in my suggested or wish list playlist. Um, it's now possible to see pinned stations in the asset search window, and hidden stations are now ignored and not shown. How can you pin a station and how can you ignore a station? Asset search window pinned. Okay. Image stability when using anti-aliasing has been significantly improved. This reduces the flickering effect that can be seen on thin geometry in the game. I usually disable it, so whatever. Causes the scene to flicker. Like, I've had flicker moments. Like, I upgraded my freaking computer. It's a 2-year-old gaming computer, refurbished, but it's like got RTX. It's got a really good hard drive. It's one of the upgrades to SSD. Starts with an N. I forget the actual name. It's 4 letters. Acronym. Yeah, yeah, it's really good, and I still have artifacts when I'm running multiple clients, and I'm not running Shadowplay still sucks. But yeah, even at reduced settings, it's given me issues, which luckily it doesn't. It, like with my old computer, it was permanent. Once it got, I would have to restart my clients to actually fix it. But the RTX in this computer seems to be able to recover from those artifact moments of flickering. But it's definitely their program, and it's definitely not anything like. I regret upgrading to Windows 11 because before I upgraded to Windows 11, everything was freaking fine. I mean, Shadowplay was fine. I didn't get these artifacts, but yeah, it's definitely Windows 11. That's the issue. But yeah, it's on CCP to, well, Microsoft, they could be putting out shitty products, right? More profit, right? Profit over quality. That could be the issue, but still. Anyways, moving on. Oh, that's interesting. It's now possible to store a fleet. When you go to the fleet options, you can store the fleet configuration, so that way you, when you start a new fleet, can have it matching what that fleet looked like in the squads and the squad naming and all that stuff. So that's kind of neat. I thought I could already. I guess I had to be boss. Oh, whatever. Um, okay, 13th of March. 5 challenges I'm just going to ignore. Okay, broadcast repair target from the right click menu in the watch list. Wait, what? Give me a sec. It is now possible to set a hotkey. Okay, got it. So they just forgot to enable the hotkey ability for broadcast repair. Got it. So it's been in the game for a little bit longer than that. Got it. And you can right click menu. Okay. So it was introduced earlier in March then. Okay. Huh? Yeah, with Drifter Crisis, I'm just gonna ignore that. Clutchfin, maybe? I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, I talk about invention jobs and swapping in the industry window, but I don't need industry. And this, a lot of the stuff in patch notes is a fix to something that you never knew was in the game, right? They fixed a problem that you never knew about. So you're like, we found a solution. And you're like, uh-huh. And so it's out of my knowledge of depth, so I won't talk about that stuff. I'm sure industry people are keeping a close eye on stuff like this. I'm sure you've got Oz or something like that to update you. Hopefully not me. As about the nullsec stuff, just gonna pass by it. Blah 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 blah. Oh my god. Number of changes to the Asblitz bridges. Okay, nullsec stuff. Ship warp speed changes. The warp speeds of all ships have been adjusted to bring them all together for similar sizes of ships. Uh-oh. Did blockade runners get nerfed? Yeah, you damn straight you've... I liked it when battleships were slower in warp, but they nerfed their nerf a while back. Okay, heavy assault cruisers having the same warp speed as stealth bomber frigates. Stealth bombers are really slow, actually, in warp. Deck 1 destroyers, okay. While industrial ships as haulers are moving this out, which are the same size, move slower than some battleships. Okay, this can make it difficult for new players to understand the relationship to warp speeds between different sizes of ships. And Tech 2 ships currently have faster warp speeds than Tech 1 ships, when it even doesn't always make sense for the special... What? So are we going mass? Are you talking mass of ships? So we look at the mass of a ship, and that's going to show us what are they talking about? Okay, so they made the following changes. Grouped up all ships based on their size, such as small, medium, large, and capital, removing the plus 10% or plus 0.5 AU per second bonus from Tech 2 ships. So they just removed the Tech 2. They nerfed it, okay. Ships that are slightly bigger than the size category, such as destroyers for small, battle cruisers and haulers for medium, are placed in plus size grouped. This leaves us with just base 7 warp speed tiers rather than the current 13. Which ship was getting a 13 warp speed by default? Does it even know what they're talking about? Okay, check. What? Okay, I'll have to check my hauler. My ascendancy implants might have been nerfed. Indirectly. Crap. I mean, it's going to take longer to get to Jita? Just give me a break. Okay. I'm just going to assume that they don't know what they're talking about, and that my blockade runner is still a lot faster. I might not have a video showing how fast. I might have to search. That's the problem. Like when they change something, they give you no reference to what your ship was before. And this doesn't make any sense. Why would a ship have a base warp of 13? Jesus. Maybe I was missing out. Okay, Tech 2 ships which need the increased warp speed for performing their specialization, such as interceptors, have been given roll bonuses to warp speed to keep their current warp speeds about the same, while making these ships easier to identify for new players. Okay. The net result from these changes are that Titans, freighters, mining barges, I'm quoting now, exhumers, haulers will now warp 10 to 15% faster. The Porpoise and the Orca get improvements of 25 to 30%, and most Tech 2 ships, which are not specialized, will warp slightly slower. Okay. Here they show a table. Great. All frigates and shuttles 5 AU. Makes sense. That's the way it's always been. All destroyers 4.5. All cruisers 4.0. Oh, so stealth bombers are no longer 4 AU. Yay! That's a relief. All haulers. Oh crap. Agility focused haulers get 30% warp speed bonus. I'm pretty sure that'll be the blockade. Oh, blockade runner gain. Okay, good. So blockade runners gain 75 warp speed roll bonus. But I don't know how much slower my blockade runner will be running now. I'll have to go in game. All battleships 3 AU. Okay, I like that. All cruisers, battle cruisers. Okay, battle cruisers are 3.5. That makes sense. All battleships 3, Orca 2.5, all caps 1.5. Cool. Oh, my God! They gave the old warp. Really? Wow. That's a switch. Don't expect this very often. Holy crap. Okay, so interceptors were going 8 AU. Blockade runners were going 6. So, jeez. Let me get a calculator, see if I can do my math. I suck at math. This is going to be horrible. 3.5 times 1.75. Is that going to be correct? Okay, 6.125. Ooh, I get a boost. I get a boost my base. Cool, I could be going even faster. Sweet. Not by much. Assault frigates, 5.5. So, electronic attack frigates and assault frigates, expedition frigates, 5.5. Frigate. Right. And yeah, frigate, mining frigate, and shuttle when they're all 5 AU. So, stealth bomber, 4.5. Okay, they were 4.5. Alright, not 4. Destroyer, tactical destroyer, heavy assault cruiser, heavy interdictor, recon ship, logistical cruiser, food cells, 4.5. Okay. Agility of focused haulers. I guess that was like the sigil and stuff like that. Cruiser, command ship, strategic cruiser 4. Okay. Battle cruiser, Black Ops 3.5. Okay, so battle cruiser is going to be the same. Black Ops is going to be slower now, I guess. In warp. Deep space transport, Exhumer 3.3. So, so the tiny increase for the DST. Exhumer 3.5. So a tiny increase to those. Mining barge. Battleship and Marauder 3. Okay, so those were the same, so they haven't gone slower. Yeah, that's why I liked. I mean, I think they were slower, like 2.5 battleships a while back, right? But they changed their mind on that one, that's for sure. Porpoise. Okay, so the porpoise is being increased. I didn't know because I just fleet warp my guys, so my mining team would land at the same time. And my porpoise is more agile than my barges, so it would get into warp first and land first, but all the barges would be at the same speed as my porpoise in warp. That's actually pretty funny. I wonder if they knew that. They probably didn't. It's slower in warp, but faster to get into warp because it's more agile. Orca and Lancer Dread were 2. Really, I never knew that. I hardly ever used it for I haven't used it for years. An Orca. Wow. But I used to use it to haul ships around because it's maintenance bay. So it's pretty slow, huh? Dreadnought carrier, fact, supercarrier, jump, freighter, Rorqual. Where is the bowhead? I'd be curious to know the comparison between the Orca and the bowhead, but whatever. I'm assuming it's the 1.5, right? Additional capsules will now warp at 4 AU to match cruisers, which is what they did before the 2019 warp increase for cruisers. Okay. We're not buffing this warp speed of corvettes at the time, which is still warp at 3 AU. Okay. To make sure we do not obsolete shuttles and Tech 1 frigates as travel options. Sorry, noobs. Yeah, but as a noob, I would use shuttles. Like, I use so many shuttles. It was crazy. The problem is when you use shuttles, a lot of the times you leave shuttles in places where you don't want to visit again. Noobs use shuttles, we don't. Because, if I'm going somewhere, it's like, oh, I have to save time. What if it's like when you first start the game, 12 jumps is like, oh my god, that's an impossible distance. I'm just like, oh yeah, do that daily. Oh yeah, just having a lark. 12 jumps, no problem. I'll be there in like 15 minutes. whereas when you first start the game, you're like, 15 minutes to get anywhere? Just traveling? It's alright. um, I never use shuttles anymore. Well, sometimes I do, if I'm trying to be efficient. If I have shuttles around me. Sometimes I'll buy shuttles when I need to get somewhere and I don't want to deal with warping around in a capsule or a Corvette, because I know Corvettes are slower. So I will use shuttles, but most of the time, where I'm in my home area and not traveling for a long distance, like say 12 jumps, I'll just use a Corvette. They made it so easy to use Corvettes because you no longer have to dock in a pod. You've got that button that you can create a Corvette. So it convenience over efficiency any day of the week when it's less than 6 jumps. I remember all the stuff we used to do as noobs. It's like, oh, I've moved 3 jumps. I better move all my stuff from one station to the next one because, it's now my new home station. Yeah, the lengths of stuff we did. Oh, well, anyways, filaments. There's a spool up timer. 12 travel filaments. I don't know how long. They didn't let us know. I'm assuming a weapons timer time, like 60 seconds maybe. I'm just guessing. Are they going to eventually tell me how long it's going to take? Yeah, and of course all traces can be scanned with combat probes or D-scan, which they could be, like the gate could be D-scanned, so I'm assuming the trace can be as well. Traces will close after 15 minutes have passed since it first appeared. Can traces be used? Can you use a trace? I don't think so. Whatever. Okay, they actually did add spool up timers. Wow. They're really... they hired somebody new who doesn't know the rules. Okay, it can be anywhere from 15 seconds spool up to just over 2 minutes spool up, depending on the character size of filament. And parchment, standard filament. Parchment filaments. Parchments are much longer, like way longer. Yeah, parchment extraction. Wild. Yeah, I don't know that. I haven't used them for so long. But extraction ones are 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes. Spool up for an extraction parchment. I don't know if that's whether it's getting out of parchment or getting into parchment. I forget the nomenclature. Parchment Devana? I have no idea. But yeah, a minute. So we're talking a minute. Yeah, so weapons timer. So I was about right for the standard stuff. 30 seconds for 5 characters, or 2 minutes for Pochfin extraction, or a minute and a half for a Divana filament. Okay, so wow, that's amazing. They actually added that. That'd be nice if patch notes were like that all the time. Actually gives you information other than vague marketing blather. by a marketing person who obviously was rolling his eyes in the back of his head when he was listening to the techie people tell him what they updated. They balanced the EOS. I don't know how they changed it. They're just saying what it is now. They did add a quip. What did they say? Oh, okay, so they just nerfed Sentry Drone buff on the EOS. Okay, fair, I guess. Why didn't they improve the Ishtar instead of nerfing the the EOS? That's the one question you get out of all this. Oh, they love nerfs. Agility multiplier improved from 2.6. What? Okay, so it's improvement to go lower, right? Sorry. Okay. The Orca, quote, the Orca had a higher line time than the Rorqual. That's pretty funny, actually. So we're correcting this by giving it a significant buff to agility. That's pretty funny. We quote, we need to be careful not to obsolete freighters. What? Deep space transports as hauling platforms, but we feel like we can make this change now since both of those classes are now receiving warp speed boosts at the same time. Why would... yeah, why... maybe you could cargo expand an Orca to be in line with a freighter? Maybe, I don't know. It's been a while since I tricked out an Orca. Maybe. Deep space transports on platforms. Why would I use an Orca when I could use a DST? If I've got a DST worth of stuff, I'm not using an Orca. It's like people use DSTs and Orcas to haul like stuff you could haul around using a blockade runner. Taking into account the 25% warp speed of is getting it should be significantly more mobile when traveling between systems. Really? Wow, it's just, I totally needed that quip. Thanks, guys. Yeah, this is definitely a marketing nerd. Oh yeah, and heavy interdicting cruisers, Hex, they can now fit a regular Senatorial field generator. Yeah. Regular interdictors, not the heavies, reduce the web strength of the web stasis webification probes, stasis webification probes launched by interdictors from 40% to 20%. Oh, shitty. To reduce how effective they are against brawlers and sig tanking fleet compositions. You think? Lol. But that nerfs them into, well, not oblivion, but definitely reduces it. 40% strength for webbing for an area effect. That's pretty good, actually. So yeah, I guess it was OP. Burst jammers, ECM burst, can now be fitted, only fitted to battleship hulls, hauler hulls, and command ships. What the? Oh, that's why. Wait, I had it on a hauler. Or did I? I had it on a ship and it was grayed out, like offline. I forget which one. Anyways, whatever. Oh, that's interesting. So, burst jammers, which are ridiculously stupid. They need red safety because they're a hostile act to everybody and a criminal act. So unless you're in low sec, and the thing is, if you're trying to get away from somebody, burst jammers, what they do is they break lock. They break people's lock. It's not an ECM jam where they can't target anybody. They can immediately retarget you. Immediately. So a burst jammer is just, oh, I just need to retarget a person. That's it. And you only had a percentage chance. You could pre-overheat them, which would increase their ability to jam, their jam strength. But yeah, their cycle time is so long. It's like 30 seconds, I think, if I recall correctly. It's just ridiculous. It's an option, but it's not your get out of jail free card, and yeah. But it now can only be fit to battleship hulls, hauler hulls, and command ships. Command ships. Yeah, whatever. I don't use them personally. Does command ship mean I can fit it on an Orca? Maybe. Who knows? Anyways, whatever. Oh wow. Wormhole reduced lifetime. Wormholes reduced lifetime from 16 hours to 4.5 hours. I'd be interested to see a list of, like, if this is like, look, 16 hours to 4. This is not a variable, so I would love to see a list of. I'm sure there is, of wormhole lifetimes. Huh. I've never seen an A009 though. Yeah, maybe these are class. Whatever. Let's Google it. I've never seen these. Class 13 W space. Maybe connection between W space, which I would never encounter because I hate wormhole space. Yeah, I mean, where is a number that I even recognize? I go low sec all the time, right? So. Nope, nope. Oh, here we go. Utatan, wee! 23 hours, nice. Why is it 23.5 instead of 24? That's so hilarious. Okay, then. 48. U319. I should keep my mouth shut about max stable time for wormholes because I don't do wormholes at all, but I would prefer them to stick around longer. But that's just me. When I find a good transit link would like to be up longer, but I yeah, I should not speak for wormholers because I have no clue about life in wormholes. Or I could guess, but it would be off by a fair margin. Faction warfare and pirate insurgencies. Okay, the pirate fob, which is different from a pirate stronghold. They, yeah, they, yeah, CCP. The pirate fob will now drop 1.5 billion Eskin average in loot. That's a hell of a lot more than the 35 average million in average loot. Average and average for pirate strongholds. So that's pretty cool, actually. I wonder if faction warfare people actually knew how much loot dropped. Wow, that's quite a lot. But it's low sec, so it's probably in line with the might not, but the low sec pirate strongholds are dangerous. I'm assuming that since it's a high reward, that the high risk will be the same. I'm trying to understand the faction warfare nomenclature here, but I fail to understand how the number of pilots that get paid is related to a name change. Is this a payment classification that faction warfare people understand? I have no idea. You'll have to look it up. Okay, apparently there's been fleet improvements. Add an option for the boss to disband the fleet. I thought they could. Okay, it's like you had a solution to a problem I never knew existed. So we can disband the fleet. Wait, I misread that at first, misunderstood it at first. We don't have to kick everybody out and then leave the fleet and have. We can actually the boss to disband the fleet. That'll remove everybody from the fleet, which is great for a solo player with a fleet because you can drop fleet and join somebody else's fleet using one command, which is awesome. That's wow. That's really cool. That's really practical for me. Yeah, it's now possible to flag yourself exempt from conduit jumps and the regroup command. I just made a video about that, and it's a toggle now. It's now possible to set max fleet size and save max fleet size in default squad settings to save fleet setups, which I don't exactly understand, but it could be because of what the Drifter Crisis stuff now doesn't pay out anything if you're above a certain fleet size, so that's probably needed. This is when they added the broadcast repair target. Oh, which can be used in a situation when you want your fleet members to remote repair a deployable structure or a player NPC not in your fleet, etc. Yeah, okay. I didn't think of that. So yeah, that's a quote from. Yeah, it's actually a helpful quote. Wow, things are changing. Well, don't get used to that. It could go back to the usual marketing crap. The 4 racial isotopes from ice products used in fuel. We know that. now all have distinct colored icons. Oh, cute, I guess. Yeah, we totally went by the icon to figure out what racial isotope we're calling around. Well, I guess an extra little pro tip of, hey, you've got the wrong isotope in your fuel bay. It might be helpful, but yeah, if we're gonna screw up, we're gonna screw up anyways. So that might not help us, but yeah, for the eagle-eyed, it might save a few people from embarrassment when they can't jump. Uh, I think we all learned that early on. It's sort of like realizing once you realize you actually have to have fuel. But yeah, it's something that experience will help, and if you don't have experience, as long as you're eagle-eyed, you might realize you have the wrong isotope type. Which, yeah, right. It's a solution to a problem. I think it isn't really a solution. It's just more embarrassment that not only did you fuck up, but you had two ways of realizing before you fucked up that you were gonna fuck up. So it's even more embarrassing when you actually do screw up. Sorry. Yeah, new unique icons have been added for. Yeah, they changed the look of the icons for sensor boosters, remote sensor boosters, signal amplifiers, auto targeting system. They all look the same though. Like what? Like it just. I guess. I guess they looked the same before. Passive targeting systems and the network sensor array. So hopefully, yeah, they look different from each other. Kind of. They all look the same to me. Okay. But it's nice, it's unique. So yeah, that's kind of helpful actually, especially for noobs. All right, mining. New tier 3, blah blah blah. Nullsec. Nullsec. Blah blah blah. Yeah, this is interesting information for miners in Beltec. Large feldspar deposit, 15 million cubic meters. That's kind of cool. Yeah, they've got feldspar, mordunium. Oh, it must be Nullsec stuff because I didn't even know these ores existed, like Calyxium, Greenear, Noxite. Okay, well, I can imagine that. Hezorime, Eugenite. Oh my god. Hilarious. We have prioritized removing the lower quality asteroids and tried to make sure that at least one very large asteroid is in each site. We've also compacted the asteroid belts to move more asteroids close together. That's nice. Yeah, this is all Nullsec stuff. I'm sure you'd get into it if you needed to. And you probably already know about it. It's been in the game for almost a month. Yeah, they increased the fuel cost for Moondrill by almost 50%. Oh, interesting. Most mining sites spawned by upgrades will now persist their respawn time across downtimes. AKA, if you mined it out by just before downtime, it would respawn just after downtime. They've fixed that, which is interesting. They might actually do it. I'm not sure. They might actually be able to. They haven't said it, but they might do it for ice belts and other stuff like that. That would be interesting. I doubt it. I bet you there's a different mechanic going on, but maybe not. Interesting. I don't think so, though. I think ice belts follow a different pool. We've always thought there was a pool of ice belts just waiting to spawn. So I don't think they can control that as much as upgrade mining sites. I'm not sure about the abyssal dead space encounters. I'm not sure if it means abyssal space you're going to be able to see what room you're in by an objective info panel, but it could be talking about something else entirely, so I'm not sure, but that'd be nice. Um, yeah, what room you're in. That's for people like me who don't do abyssal very much. Okay, they did a bunch of nerfs and buffs to bounties for NPCs following Revenant, but they've now fixed it. Yeah, whatever, right? Planetary interaction. It is now possible to restart extractors for a planet from the planetary industry window. Holy F. To do this, the extractors need to have finished their cycle already, which is usually what happens because I've got a 2-week window and then I just ignore it for like 2.5 weeks. It cannot be done to refresh an ongoing extraction which hasn't completed yet. So, yeah, that's fair. I don't really. Wow, that'll speed shit up so quickly because I've got enough experience to set up my extractors so I don't have the need to move them all the time to tweak them because I've enough experience to plant them correctly for optimal. Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. It usually takes me an hour and a half to do 18 characters, which is 3 times 6 accounts, right? Yeah, it's a hell of a grind. But to do it that way, God, that would just be amazing. It would take me, like, I've got 6 colonies. I don't have that skill on all my characters, but say 6 times, say 3 seconds. So, okay, 5 seconds. Say 5 seconds, including lag. 5 times 6, 30 seconds per character. Switching characters, and the lag time to wait for the frickin' planetary info panel to show up, which is, I can do it on multiple and open on multiple. And, okay, that would take time. So, say 30 seconds times 5 times 6, 50, 180, say 200 seconds for one set of tunes. So 600 seconds. So 10 minutes, from an hour and a half to 10 minutes. Wow. 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 Holy crap. I should read these. I should read these patch notes more often. I just didn't want to. There was so much. So I wasn't playing the game too. I was. Oh crap! Do I have it? I've got an off coming up soon. PI templates are no longer an opt-in feature, and Avena has a feature. Great. Well, it was tiring to actually opt in every time. I don't know there were filters, but yay. I didn't know there was a search function. I didn't know we couldn't rename PI templates. Using a PI template with a higher command center level than your character has will just now upgrade it to your max skill level and try to add as much as it can from the template before running out of resources. Okay. They fixed something I didn't know was an issue, and I wouldn't know how to explain it because the sort order of templates is now alphabetical. Well, that would have been helpful. It's now possible to select multiple pins by holding shift and then swap multiple schematics at once. You can swap. I don't even know what swap multiple schematics at once. I don't even know what swapping multiple schematics is. Oh wait, schematics is the recipe of what you're making. You can select multiple pins by holding shift and then swap multiple schematics at once. Huh. Yeah, because I regularly have two industry facilities on one schematic. I regularly do that. I double it up. You know, one extractor had a bunch of mining things, and then two industry, basic industries to accommodate that, right? So that's kind of cool. The roots tab show the short names for the pins. Well, that's awesome. Any help to alleviate the headache of roots is welcome. The text for transiting roots in the roots tab is now using a secondary color, which is, I don't even know there was a primary color. Okay. I guess that would be interesting to see. Added origin destinations to roots tab. Yay. Okay. Science and industry sales tax is being increased from 4% to 7.5%. Holy crap. Is that for a specific thing or overall? I guess I haven't noticed that. I don't do a lot of trading. I'm sure the traders out there were like old news. Wow. If mercenary dens, that's an old thing, so I'm just gonna ignore it. MTOs, I have no idea what that is. Oh, a mercenary den. Okay, whatever. Mercenary den is blah 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 blah. We were reducing the cost of all capital ships and Tech 1 battleships. I heard that, but how? And reducing the cost of T1 dreadnoughts even further. How? How? Okay, so they've reduced the amount of ingredients needed to build a revelation and stuff like that, for example, by reducing the components have been reduced. So okay, so they didn't actually remove entire classes, they just nerf or buffed the ability for industrialists to make stuff with less. Okay, all right. So they didn't actually remove anything major; they just tweaked it. Uh, yeah, and minerals have been lowered too. Okay, so decreased by approximately 25%. Okay, cool. Cool, cool. So, yeah, all right. Across the board, really, 25%. Kind of ish. Neat. There's got a table of stuff. I'm not going to read it out, obviously. I don't do industry. Yeah, I don't do industry for the plain fact that I love to mine, and I'd like to build something with the stuff I mine, but I get more value selling straight to market than I do building anything and then selling that. Just because I sell to buyers, I don't play with the market at all. I don't do sell orders. Rarely. I do rarely do I do manual input buy orders and sell orders. I that's not part of my game. So sorry. Yeah, Oz would be your go-to person for that. Um, Combat battle cruisers and attack battle cruisers have Tech One have higher insurance payouts now. I've never done insurance ever since I realized that the amount you're paying into the insurance is the amount you're going to get back on top of the default insurance. So you get default insurance, then you get whatever you paid, right? So you might get a little bit more, but I doubt it. But it's just basically you're banking, putting money in to be able to buy the ship again after you lose it in combat, right? But you're just getting the money you're putting into it, which is a nice little savings thing, but it's like it makes like I know it's not supposed to be profitable, but it's like if I have the money now and the insurance I pay into it once in a big lump sum is going to be just the amount I get back at the end of it. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, insurance should be lower and in little bits and drip drops, but that would just make it profitable to rip off the insurance issuing thing, right? It should be in this faucet. So yeah, I mean, it to me it insurance has never made any sense. I mean, maybe somebody with math skills could explain it to me, but I am gonna spend the same amount of money to buy back that ship as if I hadn't. It doesn't matter to me whether I do insurance or not. I'm going to get the same default insurance, and then I'm just going to have to buy whatever, right? It might make sense for Tech 2 ships because the default insurance is so low, right? It might make sense, but you're still only getting back what you paid in. That's what I think. So yeah, insurance is like whoop-de-doo. I should have kept that blurb to a minimum, but sorry, it's just if somebody could explain it to me why insurance is good, I might think about it. But yeah, just at the moment in 20 years playing the game, I have never found a use for insurance. It's not. It's it's yeah. It's not the deal you think it is. I think mainly because people exploit it too much. If it was right, little things. Okay. What? Show number of skill points in queue? Get out! Oh, thank God. I've always wanted that. It showcases how many skill injectors? No, not at all. Um, that's because CCP just expects people to use skill injectors because, I skill farm, so I sell skill injectors in the expectation that there's a market out there. So yeah, I am part of the problem that CCP created. I do not recommend skill injecting. If you're gonna skill inject, well, I've done it like 3 times, less than a dozen times in my lifetime. I don't like doing it. The pressure to do it is because a doctrine in your alliance, you need to be able to fly the ship, blah 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 blah, and you feel the pressure to skill inject, especially if there's an op coming up, you want to be part of it, you just want to, right? But I highly recommend not skill injecting as a habit. Because CCP and greedy bastards, right? Yeah, you do not need skill injectors. There are so many ways you can contribute to fleet. If the FC isn't a moron, right? Otherwise, alpha characters can contribute to fleet much more than cannon fodder. They can actually be useful besides cannon fodder. It's kind of depressing to know you're just going to be blapped out of existence without actually contributing anything. So yeah, skill injectors, no. But showing them skill points in queue will be helpful for noobs because helpful in the sense that whether or not, like, if you're looking at how many, like, if this is actually helpful because sorry, when a noob is looking at skill queue, or I'm looking at a skill queue, and I go, the skill plan I've made for you is going to need 2 million skill points, which is way more than you can possibly get from skill injectors. Don't go the skill injector route. This is why, because noobs, when they're looking at a skill queue, go, oh, I could buy a small skill injector and get halfway there. No, you will barely even scratch the paint of this skill plan I've shown you. So this will be helpful for me when I'm making videos. I would like to make videos about skill plans for noobs. I think I've made a couple already, but being able to tell you this is how many skill points in this queue for this basic stuff. If you're going to skill inject for this, this is how many skill points are needed, and I'd recommend not doing that because it would just take an exorbitant amount. Or you could tailor a skill plan for a skill injector. You could say, this is a skill plan that skills you probably don't have, probably don't know about, but need in the game. If they're very useful, you can, this is say, what's a small skill injector? I forget, for alpha with less than 4 million skill points would be like 150,000. Let's say, throw a number, 150,000 skill point. This is a 150 skill point plan, 1,000 skill point plan that will give you skills you didn't know you needed, but you actually do, and it will just be exactly a skill injector worth. I think that would be cool. In reverse psychology of, but normally showing number of skill points in queue would be, this is 2 million. Don't even think of trying to buy skill injectors for this kind of thing. So that's helpful, and especially for unallocated. Say, if you're going for, unfortunately, as we've just discovered, there's no more farming air career points, right? But getting those air career points, you could say, is it the skill plan I've got right now, is it worth doing the air skill points to get a boost to complete that stuff, or is it just completely useless to go for that route, right? What kind of unallocated points, how much are my unallocated points worth to complete all this stuff? Should I go into something to get those unallocated? Because you could always, once you get the unallocated skill points, you can run through use them and see how much you can complete, right? So it's a way of knowing how much investment you should put in to getting those unallocated skill points in order to complete a skill plan or a skill queue or anything like that, right? So that would be extremely helpful. I like that a lot. This is really exciting. This is a lot. This means a lot. Added state icons to drones in drone window. Increase the readability of drone states in the drone window, as in idle or returning, or I'll have to look. I didn't notice. I actually haven't been playing for a while, so I haven't noticed. So that would be interesting. I didn't notice anything, but I haven't used drones for a while. Market orders in market window are default ordered by... Yes, that's what I made a fixed video about. This is so awesome. Market orders default ordered. Sell orders are lowest to highest. Buy orders are highest to lowest. That's just such a major game changer for the game, for new players. And for, when you're swapping to an alt that you haven't used for a while and that you default, you just new computer or something. Like for me, when I have a new computer, doing buy and selling using a default character will just totally screw you up. But now it's defaulted, so it won't. So this is, like I said in the fix video, it's amazing. Just a total game changer for noobs. Now, of course, it would be nice if they had the settings for availability to be station. So when you right-click something, an icon in one of your, you right-click on an item in your items bay and go buy item, it will buy at station and not in Masaba. But yeah, that's a great thing. I welcome it with open arms. This is wonderful. Thank God for that. Yeah, because I'd rather a noob travel a bit and learn a bit about the game than wasting their money. No, absolutely. They only have a little bit, and to have it all go. Yeah. Make double clicking in orders history bring up market details. Okay. You can now pin stations to the top of your personal assets window. It is also possible to hide assets, as they mentioned before, and I was talking about it. This is, I'm not sure if it's cool or not. I'll definitely have to my immediate thought would be pin the lore station. So when I'm going to Jita, I have, for my hauler account, I've got lore pinned at the top of my assets window. Is it only asset search or all asset panels? But anyways, personal assets window, if I can pin lore to the very top, I can get to lore. I can detour around and go through the back door into Abazon to avoid 99% of the gate camps going towards Dita. That's one aspect of pinning it to the assets window. And it's also possible to hide assets. I wouldn't mind that. There are some stuff in nullsec that just annoy the hell out of me. I can never get to. Added the ability to open multiple fixed item crates. These are crates which always contain the same items and don't have random loot, which is welcome. I did notice that at some point in the past, recently. Doing that, that's cool. Loot boxes. I don't understand this, sorry. I'm not a marketeer. I'm not a trader. Yeah, well... Really? Oh, that's cute. Okay, so let me read that again. Okay, yeah, this is really confusing. So basically, buy orders, when you put a buy order up, it will buy items. Well, say if you... Wait a minute. This is what I don't get, because immediate, is it in buy orders or immediate buy? Because I would buy, say, if there's like, you know, if I wanted to buy 1,000 of something, right? Yeah, this is what I don't get. It's like, sometimes there's like, say, up here there's 100 at 6, there's 500 at 7, and then there's 1,000 at 10, right? And I was like, well, hell, I need 1,000. I'm not going to go through the trouble of buying. I'm just convenience, right? I'm not going to go through the trouble of buying each little bit and then doing the math to buy the rest of it. I'll just buy the 1,000 at 8 or 10, right? But I'm not sure whether this is a manual buy order or an immediate buy order. So I'm not able to help you on that one. It might be, but it probably isn't. It's probably just manual buy orders. But yeah, whatever. Fixed extra columns in inventory windows. Allowing players to show extra columns in the inventory window, which previously wasn't functional. Eh? Fuck off. What? Missing slot categories in inventory window. Slot category in the inventory was not functional. I never knew there was a non-functional slot category. We fixed it so that players can now see what slot the item up. We fixed it so that players can now see what slot item occupies. What? We fixed it so that players can now see what slot item. Oh, sorry. I was reading that wrong. We fixed it so that players can now see what slot the item occupies on your ship. That was the number one problem when I started as a noob. I wanted to search for stuff that occupied the low slot, but it was just a morass of not only icons, but the nomenclature back then was just horrendous. I'm gonna be overjoyed about this, but it's one of those things that you're like, wait, did you do something that I'm not gonna notice, and that's not gonna help me the way I think it is? Because I would love to have a category in my inventory window that I could click on that would automatically sort everything by slot. That would be really freaking cool. Or even if I could see the slot somewhere category in the inventory. But I'm not sure what, if they're really meaning, like, I'm gonna be really like, till I see it, right? um Fix the ability to simulate the fit of ships in the corp hangar. Can we now simulate ships in corp hangar? That don't remember if I couldn't or not, but hopefully we can now just right click and go simulate ship in the corp hangar. That would be nice. Okay, the 11th of March. Drifter Crisis. Race for the Hives has begun, and I don't care. Patch notes for February 27th. February 20th. February 19th. February 18th. Yeah, all the stuff in March I just kind of glazed over because there was so much change. I just didn't want to deal with it because I wasn't playing the game at the moment. February 13th. Nothing so far. It's like, yeah, February is kind of a snore situation. February 11th. February 10th. Yeah, fixed an issue where certain sounds were not heard, even though they were in range of the camera. Could ya give us an example? Like, say, the cargo scanner or the ship scanner would be helpful to have mentioned that, which does not include the cargo. That's why I didn't mention this, because it was like, I'd like to assume ship and cargo scanners were included in this and the primary issue, but I don't trust patch notes enough to make that assumption. I'm gonna say it's changed something and they fixed something that we've never noticed, and that's not gonna have an impact on our game. That's where I've always been at with patch notes. Don't get your assumptions ahead of the actual reality of they're just bragging about something that we never noticed and never cared about. February 6th. They're migrating the local chat to Quasar. Yeah, okay. Alright. Well, hopefully that fixes the random disconnects from chat. That would be nice. Or that when they first did this, I noticed that local wasn't updating when I first entered the system. It was pretty embarrassing for them. But I think that's they fixed that without, of course, notifying us in patch notes. graphics. Added planetary travel visual effects were missing from barren, oceanic, and temperate planets. Never cared. It'd be nice if I see something now and I go, oh, cool, that's really neat. But otherwise, huh? Yeah, the questions. You start to ask questions like, they were missing. Why don't you just say added? That's really cool instead of which were missing, because then the question is, so what about ice and gas and lava and what? Right? It's like, huh? It adds more questions than answers. 5th of February. January 31st? Nothing? Nothing that I would care about. Patch notes for 30th of January. Drifter Crisis. Blah, 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 blah. They kind of nerfed the Homefront operations. Oh yeah, and they also talked about it now possible to open multiple crates at once. Didn't they already mention this? Weird. Yeah, I don't know the difference between that and the previous one I mentioned. think I think I made another video about stuff. Yeah, I think I remember seeing this. Yeah, so I've already made that. Okay, so cool. There you go. Whew. Hidden patch gems for March. Be nice if I did one once a month of it, actually of note, but yeah, my confidence in ZTP is, traditionally low.